Hey everybody, welcome to Pale in Comparison, a proud member of the Doof Network. In this podcast, my sister uses her knowledge of the Otherverse to take a look at Pact, Wildbow's most reflective work, and I try to not give away any spoilers. I'm Jenny, and Malia convinced me to read Worm.
I'm Malia, and Jenny convinced me to read everything else. This episode, we are covering Malfeasance, chapters 11.1 and 11.2. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. This podcast is filled with pale spoilers. If you don't know whether Musser is finally revealed as the fraud he is, and don't want us to tell you, stop now, read Pale, and come back to this podcast. As for Pact, there will be full spoilers to the chapters we are covering.
All right, guys, we're on a new arc.
Woo!
So we're going to talk about what does malfeasance mean to you, Malia?
Well, I looked up the definition, and this is like the shortest definition so far out of any of these things. I kept looking for like alternates, and they were just like, nope, this is it. So it means wrongdoing, especially by a public official. And that made me think of Laird, R.I.P. Laird. And I was like, oh no, what if it's about Duncan? And then I got sad. Because fuck Duncan. But then I always think about Rose. But the most public officials in the story are Duncan and Laird. Although Duncan's not really a police officer in Jacob's Bell.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it'll be a public official in terms of the practitioner community. So that could be potentially any of the major players, I guess. Yeah.
Could be. Okay, cool. So we start with Blake being trapped. He figures out his bird tattoos could do a little more than meets the eye. Ty and Evan come in and play some cards and converse with Blake. Rose comes in and kind of bitches them out. Big fucking surprise there. Blake is able to hide some cards, coins, and books behind him in the mirror realm. He's like, you guys don't know how this shit works. Blake takes a look at one of the books, which is a boogeyman book. And Tiff ends up coming in. He tries to win her over, which somewhat backfires, but not backfires completely because she still stays and talks about her past and Alexis, and she totally eyes him up before she leaves the room. Blake ends up hacking at himself, which is real out of character for him, and gets his bird pal Lefty, who is able to physically move his mirror. The boogeyman guard freaks the fuck out, and Rose comes in to yell at Blake. Blake, after she leaves, uses the playing cards and some sympathetic magic and is able to get out. And he goes with Evan to stop the Behames from attacking everyone. What did you think of these chapters, Malia?
Woo! I've only known Lefty for 2 chapters, but if anything happens to him, I will kill everyone in this room and then myself. Which is a reference.
I'm glad I'm not in the room with you.
I was gonna say book. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's a reference. Anyway,
Reno 9. No, not Reno.
It's Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was thinking a TV show with 9. No, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's it. It's a little different.
But yeah, I love Lefty. It was really nice having the interactions with Ty and Tiff, especially. I mean, especially Tiff. Whenever there's like reassurances that like yes, Tiff is in the story, are fun. I like the different vibes, I guess, between those two conversations, I guess, and I'm excited, presumably, for Alexis and Blake to get to talk. But yeah, it was some good character work, some good emotion setting, and then we get to ramp up into like fight. So that's fun. And I underestimated Blake, and I shouldn't have. But
that's right.
He's great.
That's right.
I was just like, well, he can't get out. To be fair, I don't think it's super common for people to get out of bindings in Pale, but they're also really good at it and really strong.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's Blake.
I still don't fully understand what Blake did, but I accept it.
All right, we'll go through everything. So Blake is trapped, and he figures out his bird tattoos can do some shit.
Yeah. God, the birds are so good. I think it's a little upsetting that there's only one bird that's like really cool, but if there were too many, that might be like harder to characterize and deal with.
Yeah, you
And
can't name
Lefty's
'em
just so
all.
good, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Which briefly reminds me of something that I wanted to write down right here. I made a note for later to talk about in a pale in comparison part, and I don't. It sounds like gibberish. Okay. Um, but yeah, seeing Blake learn about the his reality and the mirror world is really interesting. Trying to move the desk and he can't. Later how we see that he can take objects into his world kind of. He's figuring things out. He's figuring out how to use the spirits inside of him. Although that's like risky because they start to wear down once they leave him, which like that's really interesting because I didn't think they would necessarily just like degrade um
Mm.
outside of Blake. Um but yeah, it's he's wrestling with his world and he's figuring it out very quickly. And this reminds me of something from last chapter where Andy comments on how the second Thorburn heir was very quick to figure out things and it almost seemed like they were like a part of the world, like they really knew the shit. Um
Mhm.
and you know, and then here Blake is like really able to figure this out and is like, "Oh, well, Rose didn't figure this out cuz this wasn't really Rose. Like this is like I'm the one who was created for this space." Um
Uh-huh.
and it reminds me of or I went back and have started going through and like rereading Pact kind of slowly to figure out like what I've missed and honestly just to try to figure out like yeah, like if I can figure this out any better. And so far I haven't really been able to, but it is striking how good Blake is at the practice and stuff. Although Rose is also really good at it. Um
Mhm.
and I'm wondering how much of that is like you need your characters to be somewhat adept or it's boring.
Yeah.
Like you want to move the story along, you want them to whatever, and them realizing things helps the reader understand things as well. Um, but like, is Rose like there's still something going on with Blake as he talks about here that we don't understand, but was there also something going on with Rose? Like, did Rose
Mm.
get 4 months of lessons, like I sort of thought? Or did Rose like why was Rose also, you know, really good at the speaking random bullshit
Mhm.
and stuff, for instance. Um yes. So then Blake is really starting to think about how do I exist with these memories of my friends?
Mhm.
Um and seems to settle on like either I have taken someone's place, like someone existed in this space and I have taken their memories and apartment and friends, or like an incredible amount of energy was expended to fabricate like all of this. Um, I don't remember if I talked about this on the podcast, but I remember thinking like that maybe the lawyers had gone out and like arranged for this apartment and stuff.
Mhm.
And like it was kind of sparsely furnished in large part because they were like whatever he needs like a bed. Um and like the universe like so like things like that like the bike and stuff were taken care of by the lawyers or someone. um but I mean it makes more sense if this was a person.
Yeah.
um but it's like is Blake like a new version of that person? I think at one point I was thinking maybe that like if Blake is pieces of Rose cut off in this, like the theory we hear from Buttsack early on about Goblin and Fae and how Fae are like humans who cut off the bad pieces like of them that they didn't want and those pieces became the goblins.
Mhm.
Um is Blake the cut off pieces of Rose or whatever that Grandma Rose had to work with? And if
Mm.
so, maybe Rose or whoever, like the original person, had done a lot of the same things that Blake had in terms of moving out and meeting some new people and stuff. But it doesn't, but then I'm like, but I think that that would still be like a woman like Rose because we've established that Grandma Rose probably couldn't like make Paige not gay in the real
Mhm.
world. I feel like I'm sort of rambling, but yeah, so I was kind of like, maybe this was like Rose's life, but then maybe this is like some rando's life. Maybe this is maybe Blake and Rose were twins, and we've done something with that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we'll probably find out more about that, right?
Yeah, it seems like we are on the path. I mean, I don't know why sometimes I tend to think, oh, is this a plot hole or not? I maybe just because a lot of stories you're not quite sure, unless they really hit you over the head with like the character constantly thinking, oh God, what is the answer to, this question? Um, and since it hadn't been, at least from what I had noticed, it hadn't been quite spelled out like this in the past. I wasn't sure
Mhm.
if this was a thing the story would be exploring. But it seems like now that it's been brought up several times that Rose kind of understands what Blake is or something, and Blake doesn't. And Blake's been thinking about how do I have these memories? Like we're going this way, and that's I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yes. Um yeah, then we meet Lefty, and Lefty's so great. He's the only one, like he like was looking at Blake's face while he was talking, which had big my eyes are up here energy, which was funny. Kind of like Tiff, I guess. Later. And then we get he's just so cute. I just imagine this little bird with the big eye who's like moving around, and he's so cute. It makes That was horrifying. Did you hear
The
that?
fuck was that? Yeah. It was that. Is that like nice, Rose? Do you have like a mirror, like a Malia mirror person
No,
who's like
that was
who's pleasant?
that was Alexa.
Alexis is there. No, Alexa. Okay.
No, I'm like afraid to talk. I always forget Ben owns an Alexa because I think they're creepy.
It's like the Furbies of like, the smart world.
But I think she thinks that I said that she's nice, and I guess she is. Anyway,
Shut up,
God.
Alexis. Or Alexa.
Sorry.
I'm gonna keep getting the mix up.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Alexa, play.
No, you're gonna
Let's
ruin
get
everyone's
this
life.
started.
Some people actually have those, Jenny.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. Well, maybe she doesn't know what I'm talking about. I like started saying that and I was like, oh crap, I have to think of a song to say. I don't even know if that was the right title. That's okay.
It's okay. People can let us know how. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Let me think of the let's get it started. The Black Eyed Peas. Is that the right title?
I think that's the right title. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're welcome, guys, for the sweet jams.
Yes. But yeah, there's just been like this, like, are the bird spirits, or they're not bird spirits, the spirits that now look like birds inside of Blake's body, are they cool or what? And at least Lefty's cool. So
Yeah.
that's great.
That's great. That's awesome.
If Lefty's not cool, I'm gonna not be okay. So there's that.
I feel like you might be all right, but then again, maybe you're not.
Yay. Oh no. Lefty's just so good and pure and good, and I love him. Yes.
All right. So Ty and Evan end up coming in and playing some cards and conversing with Blake.
Yeah, so this was nice. I mean, it's weird vibes because Ty like doesn't remember Blake. It kind of treats him like a stranger.
Yeah.
But he does like care about him at least somewhat, like they're there to talk and to keep him company. They play cards. I can imagine it's weird for Ty to start saying things like, "Oh, Alexis always wins," and have Blake like finish his sentences, and like it must be emotionally difficult.
Yeah.
But it was a really kind gesture and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's fun that Evan is like essentially right back to like completely ride or die for Blake. Like there's so much he doesn't remember, but they feel the same, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like checking out my notes. I mostly started writing down exactly what was happening at this part. But yeah, it seems like I don't know what these people know and what they understand. Ty, I mean, I think they've been studying and learning because he seems to have a decent grasp on a lot of this stuff compared to what I thought he would have. I feel like Blake and Rose and kind of everyone treat the 3 new practitioners like they're like fragile babies.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't have any power source, but like, I mean, they've been practitioners for longer than Rose has. Like,
Yeah.
she's, been way more immersed in it and has the power source and whatever, but I don't know. I don't know how much they know. So when Ty is kind of like I think Ty is worried about Blake breaking down, like becoming more abyssal. Um and I wonder how much of that is like concern for this, again, essentially stranger, and how much of it is concern that this person will become like a scary boogeyman who's gonna whatever.
Yeah.
Um and so I'm wondering if that is an issue, and how much is that, does it have something to do with the thing Rose thinks Blake is or whatever. Um yeah. But yeah, to talk about Evan a little bit, I it's just so nice that Blake is back in Evan's life.
Yeah.
Like I think that Ty and Evan really like each other and click, but there's still like Ty treats Evan like a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's important to acknowledge that Evan is a child. But Blake treats Evan, like a child, but also like an equal. Like, he doesn't like look down on Evan
Yeah.
or dismiss Evan, is I think like the main thing that it seems like the others do.
They tend to do that.
Right, because it's like, oh, he's a child.
Mhm.
And so when he like says certain things or whatever, yeah, it's again more of a dismissal. And Blake, I think, used to do that a little bit in terms of like the fire sparrow stuff, but
Yeah.
it seems like he's like very determined to not do that at all
Which is great.
anymore. And it's he's not consciously thinking about it, and that makes it feel more genuine and intentional in a nice way, instead of a like, I'm like, let's manipulate Evan
Yeah.
way. Yeah. But it just, the whole conversation about like the dad look and the mom look, and like dads can have mom looks and moms could have dad looks, and Mags had a dad with a mom look, and it's just so fun. And yeah, I love Evan. It's also
Yeah.
funny how immediately he understands that Blake is like, I need you to lose so that I can win.
I know. He's pretty
And
sharp.
then yeah, like, it was really, I was like, what the fuck is Blake saying? And then he started doing it, and I was like, oh, okay. But then he's really bad at hiding it, like,
Mhm.
and that's really fun.
Like, well, you tried.
Yeah. And it's like, Evan needs some acting lessons, but like, also, I don't want him to become like manipulative and deceitful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe that's for the best, but
yeah.
you tried.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because in Evan's memory, he and Blake have like talked the one time when Blake had first showed up and was like, "You were my familiar, and you're cool," and then got woken up from being super drunk and like flew around the house and fought. And then like this interaction, like, it's like there's like 3 interactions that Evan can remember, and Evan is like, "I would die for you." Like, it's just it's so cute.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah. It's also funny that he's just like inexplicably really good at poker. Um,
I
and
know.
he like barely folds and stuff. Like, I just like don't get it, and it's really funny. Yeah. But yeah, so then Blake learns a little bit about Rose and the dead man switch. Basically, she's like degraded the binding around Barbatorum so that it'll like start to wear out, and she's the only one, quote unquote, who can like fix it. And Blake thinks maybe
Mhm.
he can figure it out. But yeah, so there's that. There's like, people have been attacking the house. Um the Yeah, it's just like not very fun
No.
to be them.
No.
Um, and Blake is, thinking, oh, if I can win Ty over, that would be cool. And what if I can win Ty over by winning in poker? um, which almost seems like it would like maybe do something based, like, blah blah blah, the spirits. And also Ty kind of picks up on it and whatever. I wonder what would have happened. Maybe he would have just become a little bit more sympathetic or something.
Mhm.
But that was kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So they talk about Green Eyes, and Evan is like hardcore shipping Green Eyes and Blake, which
Yep.
is fun.
He's definitely doing that, like,
Ew,
Blake
you
and Green
like her.
Eyes kissing, like, sitting in a tree, you know?
And he's like, oh, she's a mermaid, she doesn't have legs. And they're like, what?
Like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, they're definitely not thinking about the right kind of mermaid. Like,
She's cute though.
yeah, but, like, there's no
Yeah.
way they're thinking anything right.
No. And it was sort of fun with Ty being like ever more amazed by Blake and his like crazy exploits. Kind of reminds me of how the Garricks and whatever are like really impressed by Avery.
Mhm.
Where it's like, you got out of the abyss, like how the fuck did you do that? And then like, wait, you got a favor from Faisal? Like, what are you talking about? Like just all these like little things that Blake just sort of drops. And we tend to think of Blake as like scrambling, which he is.
Which he
But
is, but
he has power in some things, and he's really good at this. So yeah, that was fun.
true. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they hang out, and then Rose comes in and is lovely, like always. And Blake is able to hide some cards and coins and books behind him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird going back and reading the first part of this story because Rose and Blake still bicker all the time, but she just like
Straight up
it
sucks,
gets
dude.
right. And like, well, at the beginning, like she gets really freaked out and she's like, let's be witch hunters. Like, that's the way out of this. And she's like very like, no, Blake, absolutely don't touch that fucking book about demons. Absolutely in no way do that. And like, what has happened to this woman? And like, how much of it was a lie and an act? Because there was obviously some of it. And it's really interesting and bizarre. Because I mean, Rose like changes and they turn, yeah, she becomes more like this while she's in the mirror over the course of the story, but it's not. Yeah.
Well,
God. Yeah. And the whole like Blake's like or Ty's like, are you gonna order me like not to talk to him? And she's like, I don't do the orders thing, but it's literally like just because she's worried about Conquest getting more of a hold over her. And it's just like,
yeah.
what is the relationship between these people? Like Tiff later is like, don't turn me against Rose, like, and like Ty, like they're very.
It's just weird, man.
She must have some sort of plan that she's talked to them about that they are on board with to some extent. But like, I don't quite get it. And it's like, why is she like, you're in her house and stuff, but like, why does Ty seem to think that she could order him to do stuff? I mean, I guess she has the demon is like what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so Rose kind of drops, or like Blake learns that all of the practitioners are still hungover, but Evan and Blake aren't, and it's kind of like, I wonder if that's because Blake sent out his self or whatever to try to like heal Evan, and so maybe that helped speed up that process, and maybe Blake just wasn't there for the actual Jaeger bomb, and so didn't have the full brunt. Maybe it doesn't affect others as much or something. I wasn't quite sure, but that seemed like it was mentioned for a reason. I don't know.
Sure.
Blake's like, hi, can I please have a book? Because you've placed me in solitary confinement and it's literal torture. And she's like, meow, 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 meow.
Like, you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's, what's the word? Scolding Ty for speaking to Blake and being decent. And while they're talking, Blake is like, ooh, watch my magic trick. And except don't watch my magic trick.
Yeah.
And manages to figure out that he can take stuff. Which is cool.
Yeah. And he takes some stuff.
Yeah. And then Rose just casually drops like, do you want crepes for breakfast? And they have like fruit.
It's like, okay.
And I'm like, who's making these crepes? Like, I've never made crepes. I don't know if they're hard to make, but they sound harder than a lot of things, like pancakes. or
I've made them
whatever.
once, and it's like they're not like that bad, but
Okay.
it's definitely more effort than making pancakes, I think.
Right. And I'm
it-
just, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It takes a little bit of practice, I feel like, to get
Yeah,
you know.
I can't really imagine Rose doing this for other people, and I'm not sure that she is a good cook, so I don't know. Maybe she had to learn it for some sort of like grandma, you need to be able to make your grandma breakfast thing. But like, I mean, Ty is not making the crepes because he's down here, and I guess maybe Alexis or Tiff is doing it, but also did they like summon some fucking like boogeyman who makes crepes? Because that's fun to imagine.
I don't think I would eat boogeyman crepes.
I mean, I think these people
Or not.
have had their understanding of reality severely altered and might not consider
That
whatever
like might be an issue.
a bad idea. Yeah. And then she's just like, "Oh yeah, I picked up fruit on the way back from the thing yesterday." And it's just so cash, even though like there's people like attacking their house. I don't know, it's just, and it, again, since I'm like reading arc 1, Blake is like, "I don't know if I can get pizza delivered." Like he's very like isolated. And the fact that Rose is like, "Have some crepes." It's like, what the fuck is
like,
going
fuck
on?
you.
Like, y'all are under siege. Like, what is
Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And maybe in Canada, because like there's a lot of French stuff in Canada, it's like not a big deal to just be like, "I whipped up some crepes." Did Sandra whip up crepes?
I think she did make crepes.
But that seemed really like decadent to me.
Yeah, that's it. She was saying like, I like to eat well. Remember,
Right.
like I'd,
Right. All right. Maybe this is Sandra.
Wait, what?
Sandra has infiltrated the yeah, okay, no. Rose is still Rose. What if Sandra, as like some sort of deal, sent over her crepe recipe or something?
Why?
I don't know. Just crepes.
She's the only one that has the recipe and in Jacob's Bell, so that they all have to make deals, and that's the secret of the story. It's a crepe conspiracy, almost one. You might say a crêpespiracy.
I'm dying. I found the chocolate. I found it.
You found
chocolate crepes.
the chocolate.
I made my chocolate. Is the crepes.
You made the chocolate bar with crepes. Ah, jeez.
Yeah. So, sidebar though, hi listeners. Is it hard to make crepes? Should I make crepes?
You should
Do
try
you
it.
have crepes recipes? I still
have a
need to
crepes
try
recipe.
Snowdrop's Chinese fans hot chocolate.
That's right. You want people?
Your was it good? Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay. What did you put in it?
I'm trying to remember. It was pretty like basic, like probably jam and something.
That's nice.
It was good.
Did you make your own whipped cream?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't even remember if I put whipped cream on it.
I definitely would. It reminds me of I like making, our family likes pies and we like making pies. And on 2 separate occasions I made a chocolate cream pie for some reason since I've been dating Ben, and he just became like absolutely determined that he was going to hand whip the cream, and I was like, it's really not necessary. Like, I have a hand mixer. And he was like, no. And so I was like, I could get Ben to like hand whip me some cream and we could make crepes.
It's true.
That would be nice.
I mean, I've hand whipped cream before. It's doable.
It is doable, but like, why? Like, if I have a hand mixer.
Yeah, if you have a hand mixer, it's a lot easier. But
yeah,
I guess to give yourself the satisfaction that you can do it.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me most was that he insisted on doing it the second time as well. I'm like, you've already proven to everyone that you could do this. Why are you doing this again?
Because he felt manly, Malia.
That's
you don't have to take away his manliness. Just let him be manly, and
yeah,
I don't know.
It's nice that he wants to help.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that's like his main way he felt like he could help you out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I like crepes. I remember there's this place in Davis that was like a little crepe cafe, and what was it called? There was some kind of like a curry crepe that they would make. It was fucking good. It had like mango chutney on top. It was really good. and I've never been
Sounds great.
able to find anything like that because it's like a really weird or an abnormal thing, I think, to do crepes in. But man, it was good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I recommend
There's a
it.
crepe place in Austin called Crêpespiracy, and it's
Crepe.
run by deaf people, which is
Mm,
cool because you go in
cool.
and if you know how, you can like sign to order, or they just have a big menu like on the counter and you like point at it.
Okay, well that's good. I was gonna be like, well, I
Right.
am out of luck.
Yeah,
I
no,
am not
because
gonna be
it's
able to
not
go there.
obvious until you go inside that it's run by deaf people, but it's really cool. And it's really yummy. So I should go back there before I move.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's probably good.
Anyway, crepes. I was trying to think of what's the word for it's not cabal. I think there's some word that starts with C, like cartel. Crepe cartel. So I was thinking
Crepe
about how
cartel.
trying to think of names for the episode because in Switzerland there's a cheese cartel.
There's a cheese cartel?
Yeah, in Switzerland there's like really strict rules
What?
about cheese and when it can be made in Switzerland. Because you said crepe conspiracy and I was like, that was fun. And I was like, what's the other kind
When
of
I think of
conspiracy? Oh, a
cartel,
cartel.
I think of something
Cheese
very
cartel.
specific.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like that's a very intense word for cheese.
Well,
Like, how fucking hardcore are they about the cheese?
so cartel means something. There's like an oil cartel, right? Cartel is just when you have like an agreement amongst manufacturers or suppliers.
So the
To
way I'm
maintain
thinking
high
it,
prices and restrict competition.
okay.
So the way you're thinking it is that like there's groups of people who are smuggling drugs who want to maintain high prices and restrict competition.
Huh.
But so there's this thing called the Swiss Cheese Union, and it was a cartel until 1999, and it was about controlling cheese production. And it like made fondue popular, but it also like destroyed a bunch of interesting types of cheeses, which is a bummer. So, ups
That
and
is a
downs.
bummer.
Yeah. Ben wants you all to know that the bar, like for lawyers, is a cartel, which it is. So that's fun. There's lots of cartels. They're everywhere.
Fun.
Anyway.
Interesting.
Crepes.
Okay. Cool. That's interesting though. Okay. I feel like may have gotten off track a little bit. So
well, so yeah. So Blake gets the cards and the coins and stuff, and he learns a little bit about he like looks at the stuff. I can't tell, like, are these coins gonna be important? Maybe. The information from the Boogeyman book was useful just in terms of like Blake's a boogeyman, so it's nice to know. And I don't know.
Okay. Well, after all that, Tiff ends up coming in. Blake tries to win her over, which kind of backfires, but she thinks he's hot, so it kind of works out anyway. And they end up talking about her past and Alexis before she leaves.
I love that, like, Blake as a tree man can like still get it. It's like real awesome. Yeah. I thought it was nice that she came in as well. I feel less. I feel like I don't understand why she came in as much. Like, I think Ty was like, yeah, I feel kind of bad. I'm concerned about this dude. Like, he remembers being our friend, and even though I don't remember it, like, whatever. And I mean, I guess with Tiff, it's probably a similar thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. But she was really fun because she like knocks on the table to like signal that she's there so he can say like, yeah, come in, which was so cute. And Blake reiterates here, like, you were my friend, like, you weren't the friend of whoever's place I took, like, you weren't whatever, like, you and like Evan were like my friends. And that's really special. But yeah, Tiff has this strong emotional reaction. I mean, I think that Blake is a lot more emotional with Tiffany than he was with Ty. I think he's a lot angrier. I think he approached the conversation with Ty a bit more calculated, but I wonder how much of that is like this is how dudes talk to each other versus this is how like men talk to women. Because I don't remember him necessarily being like, Rose fucking sucks, like, to Ty.
Yeah.
Whereas he's like, hey, Tiffany, Rose is awful.
Like the worst.
And she gets upset about that. But, like, it's also like, why are you upset about that? Like, she is. Like,
she is the worst. Yeah.
and it's another thing. Yeah, like I said before, it's like there's something going on here that we don't quite understand as to like
Yeah.
why they're sticking with Rose, why she's so defensive. She even says something that implies it's not like she feels like deep loyalty and love for Rose, because she's like, you can't if you're trying to turn me against Rose, I can't be here. Also, it's going to like upset me emotionally. So like I don't know if like they made promises or like what's going on, but
yeah,
it seems like there's something
they're
happening.
stuck.
Right. But yeah, we're slowly learning a little bit more about what they understand from the past. Tiff does not know that Blake is the reason that they became practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
She obviously doesn't remember like the date and all of that stuff, and so that was sort of funny.
Yeah.
She vaguely remembers the whole Alexis wanted a threesome thing. And that's funny.
Yeah, that's freaking funny. Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was cute. And yeah, and so then Blake is like, "Oh, you are upset. I will try not to alienate you." And we get to learn about her backstory, which was like interesting. Like really shitty parents and trying to like escape and run away from things, and using, drugs and sex and different things to try to get away from badness and bad feelings. And she describes it as like being in free fall. And this also kind of reminds me of Avery as I'm saying it out loud. I think getting to like really great hardcore Avery chapters in a row is making me think of Avery all the time.
Yeah.
But in the sense of, we see like an alternate version of what Avery's life could have been like if she had woken without Verona and Lucy and the Ken and others, and just sort of like the teetering on disappearing a lot, and then finding Jessica. So that, yeah. But yeah, just sort of Tiff is afraid of falling back into that. And Blake doesn't want to alienate her, like I said, and so he's kind of like, well, I need to cut this conversation short because I can't talk about how much Rose sucks, which means I don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah. Pretty much like that's all I can say, so we better stop here.
Right.
That's funny. Okay. Well, Blake ends up hacking at himself and gets Lefty, along with other bird, but gets Lefty to move his mirror. The guard boogeyman sounds the alarm, and Rose comes in to yell at Blake.
Oh my. The idea of like reaching into a wound at your side, which is very Christ-like, but again, reaching in there and there's like a void and birds, like that's horrible.
Yeah, like what the fuck, man?
And then you grab a bird. And like the idea that you're like, oh well, I have a book and I'm gonna use this book to just like break my ribs. It's like, and then you're like, oh no, I don't want to drop like the book into the empty shell that is my body.
I know. Oh no.
And I was like, wait, like you could store a lot of shit in there. It might get harder to move, but maybe he could store some cool shit in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so then of course he's like, well, that didn't work well enough, so let's use the hyena to make the damage more permanent.
Sweet.
So that's fun. Again, we're getting beats through this chapter of Blake is something to be concerned about in the eyes of the Cabal, and where does Blake get power from? I guess like everyone has a self and stuff, and like Blake has these spirits in him and stuff now that provide him with something in exchange for, slowly changing him over time. But like what is Blake and why does he have the power to do any of this shit? Like I kind of was just thinking that Blake wouldn't be able to exist once his connection from Rose was severed.
Yeah.
Although Blake was, we think that Blake was powering Rose, like energy was flowing from Blake to Rose to sustain her. I mean, that's the whole thing with like pose and why Rose like went unconscious is because he flipped that was the
Yeah.
thought.
Mhm.
And so, I was like, oh well, if they switched, yeah, I mean, I didn't think that, but it seems like if they switch, the power should be flowing from Rose to Blake, but their connections have been severed and Rose sucks and whatever. So like maybe Blake has some sort of independent power source. I guess he is breaking down though, like he's not really feeding on things. He's kind of starving.
Yeah.
And so maybe, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, words, rambling.
That's okay. It's okay to ramble.
Yeah. So he's like, Lefty, let's go. And he reaches in
Lefty!
there and he grabs Bird and he's like, you're not Lefty. And it's some like janky like scribble thing and it's like falling apart, but he's like, go
Well,
go.
go, Janky Bird.
Yes. Go janky Bird. And the bird kind of lets to swim and flies around like twice and then he's like, I'm tired, and comes back. And that was kind of cool. And so he's like, okay, round 2, Lefty. And he gets Lefty. He's thinking about how he was able to send some sort of energy toward Evan, so maybe like spirits can get through the mirror world. Because it seems like there's enough spirits or something to heal him when he breaks on this side. So there
Okay.
are spirits in this realm
Mhm.
that aren't just him. And he gets Lefty and he's like, I'm gonna smush you through the mirror. And it's just like the idea of like, again, I have this like image in my mind and I'm not sure I feel like what it's from, but I'm just kind of pushing something through something and it kind of like pop and like falls like to the ground.
Mm.
um God, Lefty's so cute. And he's like, okay, Lefty, move the mirror. And Lefty's like, yes, I will do that. And Blake thinks that
He's
he's gonna like shove his tiny little body against like the leg and like rotate the whole fucking structure. And Lefty's like, that part moves. Push.
Yep. I mean,
And
he
so
moved it.
then, yeah, he moved it. He did a good
You did a good
job.
job. Good job, Lefty.
I know. God, he's so good. And so then he pushes it and it moves and the boogeyman, Blake can now see the boogeyman and it's like fucking Davy Jones or some shit. Like, or Captain Hook. He's tall and shirtless and bearded and he has a hook and he has scars from blades and octopus suckers and burns. And I was trying to remember, maybe it is Long John Silver, the one from Treasure Island. But so yeah, so he's Davy
I
Jones.
think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't say Long John Silver without it like reminding me
Think
of
of
the
the
fish
rest.
restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just not quite as powerful.
Yeah, I know that just fucks it up. Like,
So
yeah, here you could have you tried our butterfly shrimp or whatever the fuck? Yeah.
yeah, so then he decides to throw down with Blake because Blake did something fishy.
Ha!
Yay.
I don't know if you did that on purpose, but that was great.
I didn't in my notes, but then I realized that it was funny and I put ha, and so I decided I'd wait to see if you said something. And so he decides to just do this like weird banshee scream. Because he can't
always
get through the
nice.
circle to fuck with Blake or whatever.
Mhm.
And so while he's screaming, Blake's like, oh, I gotta go get that book that I remember. And he's like, Lefty, like, tilt the mirror. And he like, pretends to be really freaked out and backs up to the ladder so he can climb up and get a book. And Blake's like, I didn't move it, I promise. It was the bird. And he's like, sorry for immediately selling you out, Lefty, but whatever.
mean,
Lefty seems okay with
he's cool.
it. He
Lefty's super cool.
understands. I'm so obsessed with Lefty. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely tell, but I can't blame you for it.
I love him. And so Rose tells Davy Jones to just like throw something at the mirror and break it, I guess, if Blake does anything bad. And like that's rude. But she does ask Blake, like, if I move this mirror, will you be destroyed? And he says no, and then she moves it, so presumably she wouldn't have moved it if he had said yes, which is kind of nice.
Hopefully. Or she would have been like, oh well.
So she like moves it back, and he's trying to hide all the like coins and stuff that he fucking took. And she's like, you're a really big problem, but also you're not on the top 3 priority list right now, lol bye. But she before she goes, she like ties the mirror down so it can't rotate anymore, and says that she's gonna go get a handheld mirror and do like a binding on that and bring him with her. And I'm like, is that just to watch him more, or is that so he can be someone involved? But he's like, oh fuck, I gotta get out now.
Yep. He's like, I'm about to move myself up on your priorities list.
You know, like, good for you. Like demand the detention that you deserve.
That's right. All right. So Blake uses the playing cards and some sympathetic magic to get out. He ends up teaming up with Evan to go stop those pesky behames.
Evan? Sympathetic magic seems really cool. Of course, the book is like, it's really useful, like voodoo, to fucking hurt people. And it's like, there's probably other stuff that doesn't have to suck.
I
Like,
I guess, Malia.
like, I think King Killer Chronicles, that whole magic system, for the most part, is sympathy. It's, like, you know, I'm gonna tie this rock to this other rock magically, and when I move it, the other one moves. And, like, that's cool shit, right? Like, that can be, like, not
Yeah, that's
just
cool.
evil.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
And, yeah. So then, yeah, he's like, all right, Lefty, like, we gotta fucking roll. And he gets Lefty and he puts him on his left shoulder, which is so cute. Because he's like, the right one is like, will always be Evan's or whatever. And then everyone starts crying. It makes me think of like Evan and Lefty as like the like angel demon, like the shoulder angel, shoulder demon kind of thing. Except like I couldn't figure out who would be the angel or the demon, and I think they're just both like chaotic hype men. Like they're both just like, let's fucking go. Like Blake is the best. Like I'm gonna flip the mirror, you're gonna be a fire sparrow, like we're just gonna go all out as hard as we can. And that's fun.
That is fun.
Yeah. It also makes me wonder, I think Lefty was like sitting on his shoulder, but it'd be funny if he just sort of like became like a tattoo on his shoulder again.
That would be
instead
cool.
of like a little birdie sitting up there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then he's like, all right, I got some cards and there's some cards over there, and I'm gonna like make them into a sort of a circle, sort of, and it's gonna help. So I don't get it, but he manages to make the cards move, and the boogeyman notices, or you know, Davy Jones notices and freaks out and throws something at the mirror, but like the back of the mirror, I thought. But like Blake's like, and my world splintered and I saw the abyss cracks, but then I was like, all right, let's go. And I walked toward the library and then I got out and I was like, what? So do you know what happened?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Well, it's a realm thing. So it's like it broke the binding so that he could at least like
somehow
move to a different area, I guess, right?
Like, was it that moving the cards broke the circle?
That's what I thought.
Okay. I think I understood that the first time I read it, and the second time I was doing an audiobook version, and I was like, what? But yeah, okay. So he,
at least
he breaks
that's what I
circle with
thought.
The cards.
Yeah.
And then he's able to get out because he's cool. And he did it. God, and it's so fucking good because he's just like, he's such a drama queen. Like, he's like, this is gonna stir some shit up, but like, fuck these people. And so he just shows up and he's like, who's attacking you? Like, I imagine him like Batman, like, what's happening? Like,
yeah.
like all business, not like, hey guys, but like, hi, I'm Batman. Like, oh. And so then yeah, like Rose freaks out and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, and Alexis is like, I'm sorry I haven't come to talk to you. And Blake's like, yeah, we can talk about this later. Like, what is happening? And Evan's like, hi, Blake.
Like, you're my
And Blake's
BFF, bruh.
right. And Blake's like, oh, want to go help me like fight the behemoths or whatever? And Evan's like, yeah.
Yep.
And then they run out, and I'm hype, and it's gonna be
He
great.
didn't even say anything. He just like fucking flew out the window.
Right? He's
Which is
like,
even
"Whee!"
better. He's just like, yep, I'm out.
Yeah, Evan and Blake are gonna fucking and Lefty. Evan, Blake, and Lefty are gonna like single-handedly destroy the behemoths.
All
I mean,
right.
probably not, but you know.
Well, for our pale in comparison section, let's talk about Lefty and then Avery's fireflies.
Yeah. I mean, this just I think so Wiggle.
I haven't. Okay, that's the problem. I haven't read the most recent one yet.
Oh.
So I can I'll take my headphones off and you talk about it. Because I still don't want to leave this out.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, but also that's fine.
It's not really a spoiler. Okay, I'll trust you.
It's just it's just a similar thing where like, you know, she has her fireflies.
Mm-hmm.
And just
and then
like
she has a special firefly. That,
just
like,
one of them like is kind of silly, and she's like, "You're Wiggle," and like,
okay, that's kind of sweet. Okay, cool.
Like literally, that was it.
Okay,
it was just like having these cute little dudes and pinpointing one of them so that the reader kind of has like one of them in mind. But like,
yeah,
I mean, the fireflies all seem like really positive, whereas we're not sure about the birds. But yeah,
that's true.
You gotta read the chapter.
I will. Do you want to say stuff about it? Because I'll just take my headphones off.
It was so long, and
Is
no,
that all you
okay.
want to say? What was that? Take my headphones off?
I mean, I don't need to talk about it.
Are you sure?
It was so good.
I can.
How did you read the one before, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not like? Okay,
because I read it.
You have
a like
job and stuff. So
yes, yeah. I have a job and children.
I think it's so. Wildbow's sick right now. Get better, Wildbow. But apparently, it amplifies his writing stamina or something, because apparently this is like the longest chapter he's written by like several thousand words.
Oh, holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Well,
it just keeps
get
going.
some rest, Wildbow.
It's really good. Yes, and thank you for a fun chapter.
Okay. Are you sure you don't want me to take my headphones off? Sounds like you want to say some shit.
No, it was just really good. It's not as
really
fun if I can't like talk to you about it, so we're good.
I guess that's true. Okay. Well, we'll talk about it later. Yeah. I've been doing like responsible stuff. So I'll try to read it, some of it tomorrow if I can. But all right. We are at Malia's bold and specific prediction.
Woo!
So, what's it gonna be?
Yeah, I think
I
was trying to think like Ty, Tiffany, and Alexis like swore an oath to Rose to stick by her for some reason. I don't know how exciting of a prediction that is, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Malfeasance. Okay, I guess
Be bold.
Duncan is going to break some of the rules of the truce compact.
Okay. Duncan's going to break some of the rules of the truce compact.
Because he's a public official and he's going to do a wrongdoing.
He's going to do something shitty. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are the birds good or bad?
I think the birds are like neutral, self-serving birds.
Okay.
Like they're getting something out of this for relationship with Blake, right? Like they want to be inside and possess him for some reason, and they're not wearing away as fast or something. But I don't think they're just like, yes, we love you. I think it's just sort of like, we're waiting until we can take over, but we don't like actively hate you.
Okay. Sweet.
And then there's Lefty, who's the OG.
Lefty, who's pretty sweet. Do you think if there's an uprising, Lefty's gonna try to be on Blake's side?
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
It's interesting that he's Lefty, and like left and right have been such a thing in the story in terms of left as like the sinister / like subconscious side. But I'm wondering how much of it is like righty is kind of a bad name, and Evan already had the right shoulder, so now we get Lefty in the left shoulder. Yeah. He could have just been Birdie, but Birdie's kind of a lame name too.
It's true. All right. Well, our last discussion question was just edible nuts or non-edible nuts.
I'm not sure that anyone
I feel like everyone picked edible nuts.
Yeah. And I feel like on the one hand, yes, on the other hand, y'all are not considering the importance that, like, what are they called? Fasteners
Mm-hmm.
have
Like nuts
in
and
our
bolts.
society. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Can't use a fucking hazelnut to make your house dirty.
Secure yeah. Whatever.
Or whatever. Yeah, I can tell you we know a lot about that. All right. So Cringe Post, aka Kippos, says a fitting answer to her current name. Says because someone has to come, which is thank you, Cringe Post, but also for flavor. And then, more seriously, pistachios. Thank goodness. As a general snack and good additive for crunch to food. Cashews.
Mm-hmm. Sungachi believes that all nuts are edible with enough bite force. That's the spirit.
How strong are your teeth? I can't bite through, like, aren't they made of, like, fucking iron? I don't know. Can't bite through metal, man.
If you had enough bite force.
I mean, I'm impressed with your teeth.
Part of it, too, is, like, you don't know if you could digest them, but...
I mean, definitely can't. But you know what? Some people, like, will eat shit like that anyway. I mean, you shouldn't, but...
Yeah. But they also say that nuts are really great with 8 treasure rice. You soak and steam the nuts, and so they're soft, but somehow they still have crunch. And
I think
sounds
I've
great.
heard of that. Isn't that like a dessert? Or am I thinking of a different dish?
Maybe they posted some info about it on Discord, and it sounded really yummy.
It sounded good. Yeah, it's the first thing up here says like a Chinese rice pudding, which it's not. I don't know if rice pudding is exactly the right way to describe it because it doesn't look like it has that type of texture like rice pudding, but definitely has sticky rice in it.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally eat the crud out of that. Sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
David Hunt says he bought a bunch of snacks to eat while taking the CPA exam. He bought normal M&Ms and peanuts. But he thought he bought normal M&Ms and peanuts, but actually bought peanut M&Ms and peanuts,
which is a lot of peanuts.
That's a lot of peanuts. Is that what he said? I thought I read that comment before, and maybe I think I might have misread it. I thought he was saying that like he doesn't like peanut M&Ms, but he bought normal M&Ms and peanuts, and he realized that kind of makes peanut M&M.
Oh, I thought he was saying he doesn't like peanut M&Ms, but he bought them on accident.
Okay, well, it's one of those.
It's one of those.
Way, either way, he had a lot of peanuts and he had some chocolate, so he basically had peanut M&Ms either way.
Yeah. We got to commiserate about very long exams for accreditations. That was fun. Yeah. Beleg Tall chooses edible nuts. And says that actually the best tasting nuts aren't nuts at all. Cashews, pistachios, almonds, and pecans are all drupes, which are the same type of fruit as peaches, plums, and cherries. And peanuts are legumes. But the best true nuts are hazelnuts and chestnuts. And like, have I ever had a chestnut? I don't even know.
I think I have. And I think that I'm actually not that crazy about the taste.
Yeah.
But
I think, yeah.
Yeah, interesting though. Misi1 simply says you are what you eat. So thank you for that.
Which is vague and cryptic as ever.
I mean, saying if you eat nuts, you're a nut. Or if you're a nut, you eat nuts.
That's us.
Yep. I guess it's also Misi1. Nutty person. You. All right. So
you're so mean to them.
Huh?
I just feel like you pick on Misi1 all the time.
What do you mean?
I don't know. You just
said you are what you eat. You think they were talking about chicken wings? They were talking about nuts.
Then you're chicken.
We were talking about nuts.
What if you eat a balanced diet?
Then that's great, but it's weird to comment that on a nut discussion question. Okay.
Okay.
All right, our new discussion question. I figured we also do a food related one because we're talking about crepes. So, feel free to give us your best crepe or your favorite breakfast recipes, or at least tell us about it. What do you like to eat? Or dessert, I guess. It depends on when you eat crepes, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel
I
like...
don't want to. Yeah.
What were you saying?
I was going to say, I don't want to commit to this, but I also feel like maybe we should have some sort of like Google Doc or something for the recipes people send in, mostly for my own edification, so that I can actually use these at some point.
I mean,
but
I should also
yeah.
make a Google Doc for all like the facts I've used, because I don't want to double dip my facts, but one of these days we'll probably get to one of those, maybe.
Yeah. If you have any if you don't have a crepe recipe or a breakfast recipe, tell us a story about crepes or breakfast.
Yeah, what's your best breakfast or crepe story or
Yeah.
recipe?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a rating and review. To support our podcast, go to patreon.com/doofmedia. And if you'd like to support Wildbow as he continues to write fantastic stories, go to patreon.com/Wildbow.
You can follow the pod on Twitter at Pale Comparison, or send us an email at paleincomparisonpod@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our Reddit thread in r/parahumans, where you can answer our discussion question and share your thoughts on this episode. In addition, if you would like to see all of my predictions laid out, check out our episode description for a link to a prediction tracker. Next episode, we will be covering chapters 11.3 and 11.4. And I wanted to do a plug for Doof stuff, because
Doof plug stuff!
Doof Media is really cool, and I feel like sometimes we don't know about all the cool shit that's happening. And as I mentioned, I've been listening to the Kingslingers podcast without ever having read a Stephen King anything, and I have no intention of ever reading a Stephen King anything except maybe Shawshank Redemption someday. But they're like graphic and upsetting. And so hearing Scott and Matt kind of be like, and this part was graphic and upsetting without me having to read it, love it. But it's a really good podcast. Again, you don't have to read Stephen King. The funny thing is, neither of them, I don't think, are caught up on Pale, so I don't think they listen to our podcast. So I don't know if they know that I haven't read any Stephen King, because I've told them I listen. But they're doing a short fiction writing contest called Do the King Thing. I think the idea is that you write it's really short. It's like 5,000 words or something is like the max. Piece of fiction kind of in like the style of or inspired by Stephen King, I think is the idea. And then you submit it and we'll vote and it'll be great. Like similar to a fan art contest, except it's fiction writing. And so that's due August 25th. And I just wanted to shout it out because, again, Jenny, you might actually like reading Stephen King. I don't know. So maybe you should actually like read some of the books or whatever. Yeah. But even if you don't, do it. And or if you like writing fiction and you kind of understand Stephen King's style and you want to take a crack at it, like do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Probably would enjoy reading some of his books. I think our grandparents used to really fucking love Stephen King. They had a bunch of
Grandma,
books.
Yeah, I think Grandma like loved him, and I I wish that like she was still alive, and or that this podcast and me knowing about it had come out, 10 years ago, because then I could have been like, okay,
hey,
Grandma, let's talk
Grandma.
Right, and like also, hey, Grandma, like let's talk about Roland Deschain and Jack Sawyer and all these things that I now know about without having to like give myself horrible nightmares. To talk to you about them.
That is a plus. We don't like horrible nightmares.
No.
Okay. This week's fun fact is not that exciting. And a lot of you might know this already, but I didn't. So, a lot of you may have heard it. A male donkey is called a jack. You know what a female donkey is called, Malia?
No, I don't.
It's called a Jenny.
Wild.
Yeah.
I did not know either of these things, and this is wild.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've heard the term jackass. So,
yeah.
So, Jenny apparently is a female donkey, and I've never heard that, despite my name being Jenny forever. It's not supposed to be a Jenny ass. It's just a Jenny, or there might be another. Hold on, I have a website. I'm looking at stuff.
I just didn't realize jackass is like donkey.
I mean, I don't know if it's donkey.
Well, asses are donkeys, right?
Yes, Malia, but I'm just saying they're called Jacks and Jennies.
I've never
Here.
heard this ever.
Here, let's look. Male donkey, Jack or jackass. So female is a Jenny or Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Which is odd, but
for the
I'm glad it's
classy
not a Jenny
seductress
ass.
donkeys.
So I figured I'd look up a list of male and female animal names, and I found this. It's on termcord.eu, which it stands for Terminology Coordination, European Parliament. I'm going to send you this website, Malia, because it's just interesting that they have this website for that. So they have animals, not every animal, because that's a lot of animals, but they've got like antelope, caribou, chicken, crab, crocodile, falcon, giraffe, lobster. I'm kind of jumping around. They've got a bunch of them. So figure we pick a couple of them.
Yep.
Okay, go for it, Malia. You obviously have one.
Crab?
No. Oh my gosh, is a hen? A crab is a fucking hen or Jenny. What is up with Jenny?
But instead of Jack, they're Jimmys.
Okay, so I'm either crabby or a jackass, apparently. Wow.
Yeah, Jennies and Jimmys, or hen and cock. And I'm kind of like, why are crabs like chickens?
Yeah, what the hell? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other Jennies on here? I need to scroll. Okay, I don't see any other Jennies. I see Jill a few times.
Uh-huh.
Actually, there's a lot of Jills on there. Apparently, a female goat is a nanny or a doe.
Oh, a nanny goat. I think I've heard
nanny
that.
Goat. Or a billy goat or buck goat.
Ooh,
or a guy.
This one's fun. So seahorse, there's sea mares and sea stallions.
Oh, I like that.
That one's fun.
Actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just look. I gotta look and see how many animals are hens as well. Okay, so chicken, crab, duck is a duck or a hen for a female duck, and it's a drake for a male duck, weirdly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, more hens. Finch, hawk, lobster, mallard, salmon, and turkey.
Okay, so a lot of those things are birds, and then some of them are not birds.
Or like seafood, basically.
I like
a
Wolverine.
peafowl is peahen. What is that?
Oh,
Wolverine.
Peahen, that's cute. Wolverine. If you're a man, you're a Wolverine, and if you're a girl, you're an Angeline, and that's cute.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, peahens and peacocks.
Ooh, let's look at the possum.
Oh.
Jill and Jack.
That's cute.
That is cute. Let's see. How about I don't know. What else?
A hedgehog and guinea pig are kind of wild. So they're both it's sow and boar for hedgehogs and guinea pigs. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think also pigs, I guess. Oh my god, gerbil. So gerbils are does and bucks.
Does and bucks.
Fucking gerbils. It's so good.
Right, and a wolf is a bitch or she-wolf for a female, and a dog for a male.
According to this, cats are queens or toms.
Oh, and then right after that, chimpanzee. It's either an empress or a blackback.
Fascinating.
A dragonfly is either a queen or a king or a drake.
Oh, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I feel like I should know this one, but for falcons, apparently the girls are falcons and the boys are tiercels.
Huh. Weird.
I feel like Ben should have taught me that. Oh, I like ferrets. Ferrets are gills or jills and hobs.
Hobbs?
Hob.
Like jellyfish is a sow or a boar. They've got a lot of sow and boar.
Would you need to know male and female jellyfish?
Hey, you know what? I don't know, but there might be a reason.
That's so weird.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
Apparently, lady kangaroos are sometimes flyers, and the males are sometimes boomers, which is pretty funny.
Boomers.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. All right. Well, I feel like that's a good place to end this.
That's fun.
Yeah. Unless you see any other ones. Deer. Let's read the deer and the fox just because we already read the cat and the possum. Cat. So deer is doe or stag/buck for the male. And then fox.
And fox is interesting, yeah.
I'll let you read that one.
Okay, for females, they're vixens, and for males, they're dogs, which is confusing. Oh my god!
Oh, what? Did you just see a great one? It sounded like it.
No, I was just thinking about Lucy and John.
Oh my gosh!
And now I'm sad.
It was meant to be, and it got
Wildbow, did you know this?
Did you know that? You probably did, because you know.
I just feel like if you call a male fox a dog, it's really confusing.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are pretty confusing. Like, would you call a male jellyfish a boar?
Definitely.
Or like a salmon, a hen, you know?
Yeah, no, that's
a fucking termite. The female's a cow and the male's a bull. Like,
love it.
It's just confusing.
Oh, swan, pen and cob. I think I heard cob.
Cob. Interesting.
Pen, yeah, not hen, but pen.
Pen and cob.
And the little ones are called like siglet or something. What are they called? Fuck. Anyway.
Well, this was informative. Good to know.
Yeah.
I mean,
good time.
Yeah, I'm not going to remember any of this stuff. The Empress chimpanzee. I like that.
Dignified. Yeah.
That's right. All right, guys. Have a good week, and we will continue talking into our microphones next week.
Woohoo!
All right.
Time to fight some fucking behames.
Not us. You know,
I mean, spiritually.
We're not going to go beat up anybody called Behame.
Yeah, okay.
We'll cheer from the sidelines. It'll be good.
Woohoo!
All right. Bye.
Bye.